And yesterday, the Department of Justice said, we're filing an emergency stay. And just today, they said no, Monday night. So I'm hoping that tomorrow night is the line. And if they don't get that man back by then they start going into the lengthy proceedings of holding people responsible.
OPM emails, which turned out to be a lie. Although we get a lot of grief, lawyers are officers of the court and are not allowed to lie to the court.
A liar? Oh, I'm sure you don't mean a liar.
Well, he wears a suit and goes to court and talks to the judge.
Oh,
look at that haircut, man. Are you going to be live?
A lawyer.
Maybe.
And in fact,
Might go
Kell
live
was the
tomorrow
first
night.
lawyer to seek sanctions against government lawyers during Trump's second term. But I think we can expect to see a lot more of that now that the DOJ lawyers have their marching orders directly from Trump at Bondi. And speaking of which, we've started to see a trend where in case after case, the government lawyers can't answer basic questions from the court, either because they legitimately don't know the answer or worse, when their client has instructed them not to answer. Honestly, it's a pretty interesting development because along with this trend of sending incredibly junior people to argue,
It's wild. If you read the transcripts, they're like, hey, so why did you send this man to prison? And they're like, we can't tell you. And the judge is like, no, you have to tell us. And they're like, okay, we're invoking state secrets. And then they're like, okay, share it with me in private. And they're like, well, we actually don't have anything. Like, it's just so, it's so amateur.
in front of the courts. It's coupled with incredibly senior people like the Attorney General herself signing the pleadings. And when any lawyer signs a pleading, they are responsible for the fact and law that is cited inside of that pleading.
Right.
So I would not be surprised if judges get incredibly fed up with the underlings not knowing or refusing to answer these questions and start hauling in the more senior people who have signed these pleadings. Now, in instances where a court needs to enforce an order, who's responsible for enforcing
This is
those court
interesting.
orders? Well, theoretically, the U.S. Marshal Service is the enforcement arm of the federal court system, and you've probably seen them portrayed as the government's bounty hunters.
What I want out of each and every one of you is a hard target search of every gas station, residence, warehouse, farmhouse, hen house, outhouse, or doghouse.
But the marshals have the ability to arrest people who do not comply with court orders, and every now and then the marshals are ordered to enforce a court order of national significance. After the Supreme Court's ruling in Brown versus Board of Education that declared school segregation unconstitutional, President Eisenhower deployed U.S. Marshals to enforce desegregation orders and safeguard students from violent mobs throughout the South. Photos of the events are printed in virtually...
It's crazy how, like, I didn't even know about this until recently. Like, people talk about desegregation as if it just happened, and they fail to mention that they needed to dispatch